Good morning and welcome to Real Estate Radio Denver, the most informative hour of radio over the weekend. And we're here every Saturday from 9 to 10 a.m. right here on News Talk 710 KNUS. Thank you again for joining me. I'm your host, Tom Souther, and Real Estate Radio Denver is dedicated to building Denver's housing and credit marketplace. We're here to give you the timely truth about that market, the truth we feel you're just not getting from those national news outlets, and quite often not from the locals. We really want to tailor that information to what is going on in Denver, not just regurgitate what a national broadcast does. And we bring you a number of local experts, and we help to rebuild that Denver marketplace. We do that one home at a time, and we do that by giving you some great advice, a little education, and we connect you with professionals that help you, whether that's buying or selling your home, and maybe you've got a credit situation, some financial tips, you name it, we can direct you to that right person. So within every market, there's some fantastic solutions and just tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted advice. That's what you'll hear every Saturday from 9 to 10 a.m. right here on News Talk 710 KNUS. I always encourage you. We'd love to have your feedback or questions. You can reach me off air at our off air number 720-515-1818, 720-515-1818, and I'll give you that number throughout the show. But you can text to that. You can leave me a voice message, whatever works for you. I'd love to hear from you. Also, my email address, tom@realestateradiodenver.com. I'd love to have your emails as well, and we'll get that information on the air for you. So this week we've got a great new topic. We haven't hit this topic before, and I want to spend some time with this because it's a huge portion of the marketplace, and we're going to talk about what's unique to seniors buying in that marketplace. And seniors is kind of a broad definition here, or of ages, which I'll put myself into. I'm 53 years old, and I'm approaching some of these issues that we're going to talk about today up to, whatever. So there's lots of issues. We've all got aging parents. We've got children, that are coming back to the homes. There's all kinds of issues. So that's our topic for today, and I'm pretty excited about it. I've got a expert with us that I want to introduce. She is a senior real estate professional. That's where she really puts her focus. I have Virginia Heidinger with Keller Williams here with us today. She's a real estate agent, been in the business for longer than she wants to admit. And Virginia, welcome to Real Estate Radio Denver.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. And I also have with us Tom Geisen, owner, founder of Homestead Title, a regular participant and co-host, and a great show partner that I'm happy to have with us. I wanted to start this off. Tom, welcome.
Oh, thank you very much.
Should let you speak.
Yeah, no, always happy to be here, bud.
And I wanted to start off because it's been a crazy couple of weeks in the market, and Tom and Virginia jump in on this conversation, but to just kind of recap what's happened over the last month, because it's in my world, in the mortgage world, it's been pretty brutal. Rates have increased substantially. The Fed has had two chances to talk. They meet on the second, third Tuesday, whatever it is, and make an announcement. And last month they made some hints that the quantitative easing, the $80+ billion that they're spending on mortgage-backed securities every month, printing money, was going to ease up, and that sent the bond market into a tailspin and caused about a 0.5 point increase in mortgage rates.
Yeah,
a month ago.
A 0.5 point, or maybe even a hair more, right?
Yeah. And again, this last week, on Tuesday of last week, same thing happened. They made a more definitive statement, although very vague. And again, the stock market dropped 500-600 points. The bond market dropped. Everything dropped. Money just fled the marketplace, causing another 0.5 point-ish change in rates. So I thought we would just start with a little discussion on that, and what does that mean, and where do we go from here? My insight is, in all of the experts that I listen to and whatnot, is we may get a little bit of that back, but I think the days of expecting 3% rates are probably gone.
Yeah, I think that was, as we were sort of talking off air, I would agree with you. I think we sort of have to reset our bar.
Yep.
And just get used to it. The glass half full approach, though, is guess what? Rates are in the mid fours.
Oh, my goodness.
And you know what? That's Virginia, you've been doing this a long time. This is as low as we've ever seen them anyway, right? I mean, obviously, when I say that, I guess there was a little bit lower, for the last year here. But I mean, at times they were 18%, and people, you probably have sold in that market.
That's when I went into the business in real estate.
Yeah.
First were 18%, and second mortgages were 22%.
Isn't that amazing?
Yes.
Yeah, and I've been doing this 20 years, and I think, I started in 1993, and if I remember, I think rates were then around 8%.
Right.
And sort of saw a steady sort of drop over my years, but, we're in a great market, right?
We're in a great market, and I'm not subscribing to the sky is falling theory.
No, not at all.
These are even if you're right now, we're looking at 30-year fixed rates in the mid to upper fours.
Yeah, I think the message really is just...
that is a world-class rate.
Yes, and the message may just be is that, it's a great rate.
It's a
I don't think it's going to go down much. Maybe a little correction, but not to the threes again.
No, I think the threes, if you're setting your expectation and you're waiting for that to happen, I think you're going to wait a really long time, if forever. But I think our natural spot right now, we settle back down into the mid to low fours.
Right.
And I think we'll have a little market correction that puts us back there.
I was very curious to see how the stock market reacted, and obviously, as you mentioned, it had dropped significantly. But you know what? And it has come back again, and it's over 15,000 again. And it's like people, I think, are really comfortable with it, being with what the Fed is saying. Let's call it that, with easing on, easy.
Well, it's always going to end sometime, and everybody panics when they say, oh, it's going to happen now. But I think they have to ease back on that statement a little bit, and I think they will. Because the economy isn't as strong as everybody wants to think, but
housing is doing well.
Yeah. But it is, and they want that to continue.
Of course. I mean, I think all those have to tie in together, right? But I'll give you a good example. I was running a report the other day. Sorry, do you want me to
we got about
come back?
20 seconds. So
okay.
This is a 5-second story. Go. Otherwise.
Nope. We'll talk about it when we come back.
You're listening to Real Estate Radio Denver here on News Talk 710 KNUS. I'm here in studio with Tom Geisen, the owner of Homestead Title, and Virginia Heidinger of Keller Williams. And we're going to be right back. We're going to talk and let you know about what's going on in the senior market. Thanks. Welcome back to Real Estate Radio Denver. I'm your host, Tom Souther, and I have in studio with me Tom Geisen, the owner-founder of Homestead Title. I don't know where I was going with that name, but it is Homestead Title.
You got it right.
And I have Virginia Heidinger, a real estate agent with Keller Williams, who focuses on the senior market. And we're going to get there in a minute, but I want to go back to the story you started, Tom. We were talking about rates and what's going on and the recent increases, and the sky is not falling. There's still absolutely fantastic world-class rates right now, just not quite as good as they were a month ago. And you were talking about a value situation, home values.
Yeah, what I was one of the things that we have at Homestead Title is a research. There's some data, I guess, that we get from a company called Altos Research, and it's data that pulls from about 200 different sources and gives you an indication of what's happening in the real estate market today. Not so much 3 months ago or 6 months ago, but week by week we get these statistics.
Right. And because most statistics we get in the news are
past.
A month old or 2 months old.
Right. Yeah, and it's almost like in the stock market, you look at a mutual fund and you say, hey, they got 20% last year. I should put my money there, right? Well, the market's changed, right? Yeah. And you know what? You missed that 20%. You put it in the wrong sector and it goes to you lose 20%, right? So in this particular case, I just ran my zip code in Lakewood, which is 80228. And I was kind of curious just to see what the median price per square foot had done from a year ago to today. And it was up about $17 a foot, the median income, or median price per square foot. Sorry, yes, I said that wrong. And so I also then pulled up the average size of home in 80228, and it was about 3,000 square feet on an average. And so you just do the math and you look at that and you say, you know what, that house appreciated about $51,000 over the last year.
Yeah,
and that's a good thing, right? That's equity.
That's a huge thing. That's the difference between being able to refinance that home and not. oftentimes.
Or being able to sell that home or not, right?
Yes.
Whatever that situation is, equity is, I think we all love low rates. And that's been really good for the title world and the mortgage world over the last 3-4 years for sure. But on the flip side is, you never want to root against the economy and things like that for that reason. It's nice to see the stock market developing or creating equity for people and the housing market creating equity, which, Virginia, we can sort of lead into, what does that mean, right?
Yeah.
Now you can refinance, Tom, through somebody like yourself that you couldn't before, or maybe you talk to your agent and say, where am I?
Well,
I want to buy a new house.
Yes, exactly.
Well, and that's the message I want to get out to you is that those values are going up. And maybe the rate's a little higher, but if you were sitting a year ago and didn't have enough value to refinance, you very well may now. And if you're at 5% or 6% or 7%, or, I'm doing some refis now for people who are at 7 and 8%.
I sent you a guy the other day that's at 7%.
Right. And he's very close to being able to get that deal done. And it would have been great to get him 3.5%. But does it make sense to take a loan at 4.5% when you're currently at 7%? Absolutely.
Yep.
So the sky hasn't fallen. It's just that maybe you're saving $400 instead of $500 a month.
Right. Well,
which is pretty darn good.
I think for those people looking to make a move in the real estate market is. I think it's a good time because I think the equity will only get better. And hopefully these rates will sort of stay where they're at. But I think they can see the upside on the appreciation. So, Virginia, what do you think? How does that lead into the senior world?
Well, it leads into the senior world because the seniors are able to downsize if they've got a big house. Some of them actually want to move up. I've had a couple of seniors lately who sold their homes. And one couple in their 70s actually moved into a house that was over 4,000 square feet.
Really?
It was their dream home. So they were able to do that.
Did they build it, or that was something they've had their eye on for a number of years?
Well, they moved to Colorado, and they wanted a certain house, and I found it. And, they're 77 years old, and this is their dream home.
Yeah.
So they were thrilled.
That's funny.
And Virginia, I was telling you the story earlier, and Tom wasn't there, but a very good friend of mine did something very similar. They built their dream cabin in the mountains and sold their family home. And this little cabin is probably 50% larger than the home they sold. And I'm certain
doesn't sound like more. A cabin.
Not really a cabin. They call it a cabin. I would call it, their
a nice house.
Their perfect dream retirement home. And it has many of the features that we're going to talk about that you're saying seniors are looking for, or you threw out the sandwich generation. And, let's back up and just talk about what is really that senior market as far as you're seeing and who fits into that profile that you're really trying to help and touch.
Well, one of the things that makes it so interesting is I'm working with people ages 50 and up until the end. And so you've got the baby boomers who don't like to be called baby boomers. And then you've
What do they like to be called?
Well, they don't like to be called anything, at least so I've read. So you've got that group. You've got
We don't like to be classified.
I know. And then you've got the sandwich generation, which actually is that 40 to 60 age group. And then you've got the older generation who may be ready for the assisted living retirement communities, that sort of thing. So my business actually encompasses a very wide range of ages and a lot of different kind of properties, which actually makes it very interesting and a continual growth and learning process.
So what does it take for you? You have a designation, right? That is a senior specialist. Or what is the designation?
Seniors Real Estate Specialist.
Seniors Real Estate Specialist. Okay, so that's the SRS, right? And what did you have to do to get that designation?
I had to take education, and I have to keep that education going in order to maintain that designation.
Okay, and so it's 100% focused on what seniors are looking for, or what does it entail?
Well, it's not only focused on what seniors are looking for, but it's an education in how to help them meet the different challenges through all those different age groups, to understand the things that they're going through so that I can better help them. And sometimes it's to buy or sell a home. Sometimes it's just to help them through a stage of life, which is also rewarding. So, it's just a continual, ongoing learning experience of how to help better serve clients.
Awesome. That's neat.
And Virginia, I'm not going to give away your age here, but you're, this isn't like you're 25 and trying to fit into this marketplace. You've lived these experiences that many of these, that seniors are going through, and I'm on the edge of that age group. I'm in that baby boomer age, lower end of the baby boomer age group. The age group that I like to say is the one not included in things, but your background and your experience level is right in with what that sector is going through. And you've lived much of this.
Yes.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about your story and some of the experiences you have and how they apply to that?
Okay, well, I freely admit I'm 69 years old, so I can call someone old sometime, and it's, I'm there.
You're there.
So as a senior, I've been through the different stages of having the big house and moving to something smaller because I didn't need the big yard. I didn't need the big house anymore. But what really drew me to this designation was recognizing the changing demographics of our country. And then in my personal situation, about 10 years ago, my dad was diagnosed with dementia, which we'd never experienced, and we didn't know what was going on. We just thought he was crazy. And they were in a small town where there were no specialists, there were no resources, anything. So it was really a very devastating experience. We had to quickly find a way to get my dad into a nursing home, and I watched my mom sit there with real fear in her eyes. The only possession they had worth of any value was a little $35,000 home, and she thought she was going to lose that to help pay for my dad's nursing home.
Right.
And so one of the things that people should know is when you see the people getting older, people less able to take care of themselves, recognize it and begin to plan and reach out to professionals that can help you. Otherwise, you have a crisis like we did, and we had to suddenly try to find my dad a place where he could be taken care of. And I think that this whole tragic thing was a contributor to my mom passing away. And she died suddenly. She just had enough, I think.
Yeah.
So here we were, my brother in Texas, I in Colorado, had to fly to this little town with no one to help us. And we had to put our house on the market, get rid of 50 years of possessions, find a real estate agent. And so I experienced how that was when you had nobody to turn to.
Right.
And another thing I wanted to mention, too, my dad was a veteran. And so Mom and I were trying, while she was still alive, to help Dad get benefits. Well, to call the VA and get those people, we were put on hold, we were given the runaround. We had no way to get help from them. It wasn't until my dad moved to Texas and my brother personally took him to the VA. And so now I know through my business that I'm doing that there are actually attorneys and financial planners you can go to, and they take care of that process for you. So I experienced that. And then my brother, conversely, was also diagnosed with dementia. And his situation in Dallas was he had lots of money. So they had lots of resources, and he was moved to a lovely memory care, assisted living, a retirement type of community. And they sold their home, and even when they sold their home and moved down, it was a nice big house. But
Sure.
So we experienced all of that, and I could see the difference when you had people to help versus
Right.
when you didn't.
And the key here that I hear from this is this would have been a much simpler or easier process for you if you had started that process with your parents and your brother earlier,
That's
before
right.
you needed it.
That's right.
So that's really kind of the message is don't wait until
That's
you're
right.
forced to make those decisions.
Yeah.
If you can discuss them and put together that plan, you're much better off when you actually need it, whether that's 5 years or 10 years or however long down the road.
But even, and also just, it sounds like now, though, I mean, I'm thinking of things of like estate sales and
Yeah.
you know, what do? You have 50 years of possessions that you need to figure out what to do with. Having a resource in your real estate agent that can help guide you to say, you know what, here's where you can get help. Right?
Yeah.
And here's right, because you have to, what did you do on that? Did you have an estate sale or what did you do with the possessions?
Well, we just sort of ran around and called different parties and said, come get this, come get that, dump stuff. Because this is my specialty, I have a resource team now. And I have senior moving managers that I work with. And they will come in and they take care of sorting, sifting, packing, estate sales, online sales. They take care of the whole thing.
Right.
And it's so much easier.
Well, and I can talk from my experience. You know, I lost my wife suddenly, and I'm 53 years old, lost my wife suddenly last summer, and went through this exact process of a house full of stuff that just had to go. I decided to sell the home, and it was very, very hard and stressful, and it would have been wonderful to have a resource like that to get through that process. So, you know, even if it doesn't necessarily have to be when you're 70 or 80 years old. You know, things happen in life, and having those resources are incredible.
Well,
So,
actually, I had
we got to take a little break. I want to thank you for listening to Real Estate Radio Denver. We're going to be back in just a minute, but come on back and we're going to hit more on senior real estate and what help we can provide for you. I'm here with Virginia Heidinger, and Virginia, thank you so much. We're going to come right back. Thanks. I'm your host, Tom Souther, and I have with me today, we're talking about senior real estate issues and those problems and solutions that really affect you if you're, you know, getting up in those advanced ages like I am. You know, and that we've defined that age group that Virginia Heidinger will really focuses on is anything over about 50. So, Virginia, welcome back. Virginia Heidinger with Keller Williams.
Thank you.
And I also have Tom Geisen with Homestead Title. And we were really talking about some of that moving and maybe you've need help in going through all of your belongings and deciding what goes and stays and having that help. And I'd like to go back there, but before I do that, I want to encourage you, if you're listening and this is hitting a chord, if you have a parent or yourself or someone that maybe needs a little advice, Virginia has a great brochure pamphlet on downsizing made easy that we'd love to get out to you. It's called Downsizing Made Easy. So you can get that quite easily just by leaving me a message and we will get it out to you, or text me. That number is 720-515-1818, 720-515-1818, and we will get you Downsizing Made Easy to help you with that process. So, Virginia, you were starting a story when I so rudely interrupted you at the end of that segment about that whole process of collecting your belongings and moving on. So let's go on to that.
Yeah, I had some clients recently who I guess you'd say are in the boomer generation, but they bought their dream home, moved into it. The wife hadn't wanted to move anyway, and they left behind the house that they were going to sell, but it still had lots of stuff there, and they were completely confused and overwhelmed with what to do with it all. And I said, no problem. I have a wonderful senior moving manager, brought her in. She sifted through everything, packed everything, organized, arranged the sale, arranged the donations, arranged for the garbage, everything, and it was reasonably priced, and my clients were so very happy. It took a lot of the burden away from the move, particularly with the wife who hadn't wanted to move anyway.
Yes.
So we had some happiness there.
Well, I will speak from experience. It's a big burden to go through a house of 10, 20 years worth of things, particularly, my spouse was a collector, and going through all of that, which I had to do very relatively quickly in a matter of 3-4 weeks, was so incredibly stressful. And having someone who could really answer some questions about, how do you really do a sale, or, is it worth it? Do you Do you just send everything to Goodwill? All of those different answers would have been hugely helpful for me. And, where were you when I needed you, a year ago?
Mm-hmm. Wish I'd have been there.
Yeah.
You were here.
Yeah, you were here. I just didn't know
there.
it. So, I totally understand that issue and see how it can, how having that resource would help. And again, I want to encourage you, give us a call or leave us a message at 720-515-1818. I would love to put you together with Virginia Heidinger, with Keller Williams, to help you with these issues. It's a stressful time and process.
I had a question. Are you finding anybody here or people in Colorado or from that move down? Are they going to communities? Are they're just going everywhere? Or is there any sort of a trend or neat places that you wanted to talk about that people are kind of going to?
Well, actually, there's a couple, because there's a wide variety of.
I before we go there, because I want to hit that topic and I want to talk about specific places, but we've mentioned sandwich generation a couple of times,
yes.
And I think this will lead into the types of properties out there and some of those. I didn't know what that term meant. Virginia, tell us what's the sandwich generation?
Well, the sandwich generation is people typically between the ages of 40 and 64. They've raised their children. They've built their careers. The children are grown, and they're looking forward to a lifetime of some freedom and leisure.
In theory.
Yes. And suddenly their adult children who can't get a job are back home. At the same time, their aging parents are in need of financial assistance. So they're hitting from two different directions just as they think life is going to be easier.
Right.
And so there are some special challenges there. And Lennar Homes has come out with a brand new floor plan that people might be interested in. It's called the Next Gen Home Plan, and they have incorporated right into the design a private suite on the main floor, and it has a kitchenette, bathroom, living area, bedroom, incorporated right into the design with its own outside door. And I think it's really going to be a great product. They're just building it. So it's kind of like, other countries were ahead of us as far as having families living together.
Sure.
So that's that's a great point. So the kids are moving out. They're thinking they're moving. They've got all the time in the world, but the parents need some help and they need a place to go and basically move them in.
Mm-hmm.
So do they also build bedrooms in the basement for the kids when they come back too?
Well, sure.
So you've got the space upstairs on the main floor for the parents who maybe need better access, and then you can put the kids in the garage or down in the basement if they come back. See, in my situation, my parents are gone, so I don't have to worry about that, and I just like to move regularly so my kids can't find me when they decide to come back. So that works out really, really well for me, and not needing that, but I can understand how many would.
Yeah, and where is Lennar building these homes?
They are building them in one community in Arvada and another in Castle Rock. They're putting the very first product up right now. So shortly they should have model homes.
That's great.
Yes.
Pretty smart thinking.
It's exciting.
And what's the response been? I assume good, because they wouldn't do it.
I'm sure they based that on research. So far, they haven't sold any, but I think their research shows it's going to be a real winner.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Good. What other models and pieces do you really see that are targeted towards that senior market as well?
Communities.
Or communities. And I'm assuming there's plenty out there that's head in that direction.
Oh, yeah. There's the active adult communities, which they're building more of. And now they have one in Highlands Ranch, Verona. They have one near DIA, Green Valley.
What does that mean? Just things for them to do? Or what is that? What's the definition of active adult community?
Well, they're over 55. And they're usually for people that want kind of a resort-style living. They usually have golf courses, walking trails, activities, a clubhouse, and, people can move there, and it's mostly the same age, and they can lock their door and leave if they want to and just have a lot of fun in life.
Gotcha.
So 30 years ago, that would have been that apartment complex that had the weekly happy hour party and all of that stuff for the 20-year-olds. Now they're
those were fun.
Just doing it for the 50-year-olds.
Those were great. Yeah,
I'm ready to sign up.
And I'm finding lots and lots of folks that are kind of at the age Tom and I are, where they're still living an active life. They're not ready to retire, but those knees don't want to do the stairs anymore. So I've got lots of folks wanting to buy ranch-style homes with maybe not a big yard or even townhome. But even younger people are starting to want more ranch homes. But I'm seeing a real wave of people, let's say between the 40s and 70s, that want the ranch style.
One level, very easy.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I like that as well. So
yeah,
that makes sense. So the adult communities, and they really limit those to a certain age bracket. Mm-hmm. Usually, 50 and above? 55? How does that go?
The ones that I know of are 55 and above. At least one person in the family has to be that age at all times. So, and they're growing in popularity.
So one person, that's an interesting question. Can they have children with them if they're 55 and older?
The ones that I know of cannot.
Gotcha. Which would make sense because I think people are like, we're moving there for the reason to have people our own age, right?
If people wanted to be around children, they would move into a regular family neighborhood.
Okay. So if somebody calls you and asks for this, how do you find these places for them? Just from local knowledge, or do you actually search small yards and things on the multiple listing service? We're
going to come back to that answer right after the break. You're listening to Real Estate Radio Denver here on News Talk 710 KNUS, and we are talking about filling you in on senior real estate issues. Come on back. Welcome back to Real Estate Radio Denver. We're talking about senior real estate and the transition and all of that change that goes along with, maybe you're deciding to downsize, or you have a parent that needs some help, or you just want to figure out how to have more fun in your life. And I've got a great expert with us here, a senior real estate expert, Virginia Heidinger with RE/MAX. Oops, I just dropped the wrong name. Virginia Heidinger with Keller Williams. Sorry
I used to be with RE/MAX.
Wow, we're not going to use the R word. I don't know where that popped out of my head.
Hey, what's important is Virginia.
Virginia, yeah. And and Tom Geisen with Homestead Title. Again, I want to encourage you, please call us and leave us a message. I'd love to get you put together with Virginia. That number, 720-515-1818. I'd love to get you that Downsizing Made Easy brochure that she has. I'll give you some detail on some of the topics we've been talking about. And again, you can text or email at 720, text or leave a voice message at 720-515-1818. Also, Virginia, you have some seminars that you're doing. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about those, and let's give us the dates. And again, they can get that information by leaving us messages. We'll put you together to get you that information at 720-515-1818.
Great. Yeah, this is really exciting. I'm calling my seminars Lifestyle Transitions Made Easier, because it's going to be a positive step in their lives. And basically, it's a very strategic, extensive 5-step plan, which is we're going to create a plan. We're going to communicate with your family and friends, how to surround yourself with professionals. What are we going to do with that house full of stuff? We're going to help figure that out. And then we're going to help you learn how to celebrate that wonderful new lifestyle that you're going to transition to. So I'll be giving the seminars in July 9th at the Village at Lowry. We're also going to give one on a Saturday, August 17th at Village at Lowry. And then in August also, Heritage Club, Denver Tech Center. I'll be giving one there as well. Those are both Brookdale communities.
Awesome. So we've got 3 dates. And again, if you need those dates, send me a text or email or voice message at 720-515-1818. Or you can email me at tom@realestateradiodenver.com. We'll get you that information. And if you would like to get together with Virginia, I can make that happen for you as well at 720-515-1818.
Virginia, can people just show up there, or do they need to call an RSVP?
Well, they can certainly show up, but it would be good to call an RSVP so we know how many people are coming. I'll have my brochures. We may have refreshments. So everybody's welcome to come.
And where would they RSVP to you directly?
They could RSVP to me directly, or they could go directly to Village at Lowry or Heritage Club DTC. Okay. Either way they would like to, but they're welcome to come.
Right.
Great. And we should probably just give them real quick your number so they can do that.
Okay. It's 303-888-0034.
Beautiful.
Bring your friends, bring your family members, whoever you want that needs to know. They're welcome.
That sounds like a great program.
Mm-hmm.
So lots of change and transition.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about some of the experiences you've had with that change and transition and some of the great things about maybe moving towards an assisted living or some other community, and what the effect has that had on customers or people you've helped to do that.
Okay. Well, a couple of different things. Going back to my dad and my brother, both of whom had dementia, the change in them was really remarkable when they finally moved to an assisted living community, because they had structure. They had regular meals, healthy meals. They had professionals there with them 24 hours a day to be sure that their needs were met. They knew how to handle their situations. So they actually began to thrive once they got into that setting, not to mention the peace it gave the family members. So that is one.
Right, knowing that they're watched over. If something's going to happen, there's going to be someone there to help them.
That's right.
And that seems to make sense to me, that removing that minutia of your life would ease you to be able to focus on the important things in life, not
That's
worrying
right.
about how do I get my meal prepared, or
That's right.
or how do I get to my doctor's appointment, or all of those little things in life that just take so much time and energy, particularly if you're having a little bit of diminished functionality. It's going to be a big weight off your shoulders, but I also understand that giving away that seemingly independence is a big issue. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, yeah. Well, some of the issues involved that cause people to take longer to make that move. One is the fear of giving up your independence. You want to hold on to that last bit of a sense of control over your life. Another is fear of the unknown. What's going to happen when I go to this place? Are people going to be good to me? So there's that fear. And there's the fear of losing everything that you're familiar with, your friends, your home, your surroundings. So those fears are something that needs to be overcome to help people to do that. And that's part of what comes in the plan and the communicating with family and friends.
Well, the one thing I'm hearing, though, there's really two sides to this, which is, that the example you gave there is maybe moving into a some sort of assisted living, right? But then there's these great active adult lifestyle communities, right? And I think I'll give you an example from personal experience, too, is my father-in-law is, my mother-in-law passed away about 12 years ago and they lived in Highlands Ranch, and he made a change, and his change was he sold his house and he bought, in his case, he bought an RV, and he joined some clubs, and now he travels all the time, and he's, and it's kind of a second chapter for him. And it's been neat to see that. He ended up buying a house in Arizona as well. But just a neat thing to see. And I think in his case, if he would have stayed in Highlands Ranch in the same house, I think he would have been bored. He's a very outgoing individual, loves to hike and climb and do things and all that. And his wife, who passed away, didn't do as much of that stuff. That was sort of his thing that he loved, and I think he would have been really miserable. So to watch that, take shape, and I'm sure that just the neat change, and you move into a community and you make these new friends, and you start playing golf and tennis, and you've got your group, and you play cards, and you have happy hour, and you have wine. What a blast!
Well, and studies have shown that isolation can lead to early death.
Absolutely.
And a lot of illnesses. And I've had clients where their parent was living in a house all by themselves, and they moved them into a retirement community, and suddenly they made all these new friends, and
their health was better. And,
yes, I mean, they really came alive, and they have all the conveniences, the house cleaners, all the food, and all the new friends and activities, and they really began to flourish.
Yeah, I think that's huge because, my grandmother passed, my grandfather passed away a long time ago, and it was within a year that my grandma passed away after his death, and she stayed behind in the home they had, and I think just you lost your will to really live, right, and giving that second chance. And so I would think in the senior world, it probably is very common that one party dies, and what is the other party going to do, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you can help with that.
You can help with that transition.
Yes, I sure can.
Yeah,
I have a great resource team and a whole pool of resources, all throughout the industry.
Sure.
What I don't know, I'll call on someone who does.
And we don't want to give the impression there's a cookie cutter on any of this.
That's right.
That's
right.
the beauty of talking with someone with your level of experience and been through this. You get a custom solution. You're not just telling people, well, you have to do this. Mm-hmm. Everybody's story is going to be a little bit different, and everybody's solution and answer is going to be different, but you've put together many resources to come to the right solution.
Options.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's
I
beautiful.
like options.
Yeah, I do. I'm always a big proponent of, know what's out there and pick what's best for you.
Yes.
Yep. That's great.
Absolutely.
Well, it sounds like you have a really probably a great business, and it's probably very rewarding.
It is very rewarding.
Yep. You probably get up every day and are excited to go to work.
Mm-hmm. It's very interesting. It's one of those where you can never learn enough. The demographics are constantly changing, and so there's always something new to learn. There's always a new challenge. So it makes life very exciting, and to know that you've made a difference in people's lives, it means a lot.
And are you seeing, by the way, we talked a little bit earlier about the housing market appreciating. Have you seen in your most recent transactions over the last 6 months some pretty nice increases and gains in property values?
Oh, yes. Yes. Very nice. And there's just been this whole dam of people that it's burst of so many people that had short sales that now they've got their credit and they can come in and buy.
Yep.
We still don't have enough properties on the market. So, yeah, values are going up. There's financing there, as Tom knows. It's a great market.
Well, and there, since you threw out the financing word, let's spend a minute here on some of those options. And one of them is reverse mortgages, which I think have gotten beat up in the market a little bit. It's not something that I'm a specific expert in, but can certainly help people get to that expert. But it's a viable option for many, many seniors that maybe are house poor or maybe want to buy that next place but not have to worry about a payment.
True.
That reverse mortgage is there for seniors over 62, I believe is the entry point. And it's a great option. Maybe you want to start enjoying your life a little better and you've worked hard all your life and your home is paid off. And that's a tool that you can use to extract some of that equity that you've worked so hard for that now you can enjoy.
Yeah.
What's your experience in those products, and how do they fit? And I know they don't fit for everyone.
No, they don't. And I would say probably the most important thing as a business person, I feel, is to get a lender that can be trusted.
True, absolutely. Because,
yes, you can buy a home using a reverse mortgage. And for certain people with a lot of equity, they don't want to move. It can be a way to keep them in their home. Yeah. And, of course, the people that they're leaving behind are not going to have as much asset left. But the important thing is for this person to have a decent lifestyle. So I would...
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. And one of the things that I've seen, tying it back to your friend, is many people are taking that money out of the equity in their home so they can maybe buy a motor home or something or a property somewhere else. Or I don't want to get into what the exact rules are, so that they can enjoy those years. And it's a fantastic tool.
It is, for the right set of circumstances.
Yeah, you also mentioned that for those who just say, you know what, I'm ready to make a move, but we'll sell my house, let's move now and sell our existing house, right away, put it on the market, etc. But you also have some contacts that can help kind of bridge that gap, right?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, for someone who wants to make that move, say, to the assisted living or retirement community, but they need to sell their home in order to live while they're there, we have some financing available through a bank where they can go ahead, make their move to their new community, start that happy new life, and then we will get the money fronted to them, and then we'll have time to fix their house up, get rid of everything, put it on the market and sell, and pay it back.
It's great.
Great. Virginia, thank you so much. Virginia Heidinger with Keller Williams. Again, I want to encourage you, call us. Let me put you together with Virginia, and she can help you answer some questions. 720-515-1818. We will be back next week. Thanks so much.
Thank you.